Howdy there, boys. Let's go. Oh lord, we're dropping frames. Alright, everything seems to have leveled out, so I'm just gonna leave it. We had... oh god. Let me fix the lighting really quick. Yep. There we go, much better. So now that we've fixed the lighting, let's get talking about some StarCraft, boys. So, today I'm going to be talking today's episode is going to be a slight extension of the, oh lord, I forgot the Twitter post. I'm going to do the Twitter post first, and then we'll get started. Oh, whoops. Delete tweet, yeah. Sorry about this. This is my fault. I should have tweeted, during that, small uptime before the show. Oh, lord, I'm an idiot. How long does it take for a man to tweet one thing? That's the real question, isn't it? There we go. We got the tweeters. We done, son. We did it. We got there. So, my name is Walnut. Welcome back to the show if you're a returning member. If you're not, you should go and watch the first show because this is going to be an extension of that. I didn't get quite enough data on my or on the Terran games yet, and that's going to be pushed back a week or so. Next week's episode is going to be the Roach Hydra Lurker style. It's become extremely popular in Legacy of the Void, and I'll be outlining that in most of the matchups and how you counter it, how you deal with it, that sort of cool thing. But today's episode, we are going to be covering the One Gate Forge in PvZ specifically. I think it's probably best in PvZ, but I think it has some uses and some applications in both PvP and PvT. But I won't be covering those today as I kept getting Zergs on the ladder, man. Zerg all day, every day. In any case, though, today we'll be talking about that One Gate Forge. Now, it's a very similar build order to the one we did last week. Last week's build order was 1 gate, 16 gas, second gate on 17-ish, and then Cybercore when your first gate finishes, and then you make 2 adepts and you move out and you do stuff on the map. This build differs slightly in, instead of building a second gateway, instead you build a forge, and this results in early cannons, very early upgrades, and the ability to get on the map in the same vein as the last build, but with a slightly more economic focus. It allows you to take your third base a lot easier because you have cannons to back it up. It allows you to trade a little bit more efficiently in the mid game because of your superior upgrades, and while it isn't as aggressive near the start, I think it's an equally good build and has shown potential for me so far. I have a couple of replays. Again, they're my replays because everybody wants to see me play. Haha, just kidding. No, it's because I don't have any people submitting me replays. If you have replays, if you're willing to submit replays, please do submit them to me. I will probably have them on the daily. Not the daily, but the weekly, I guess. I will probably, if I don't, I'll probably cast them and put them on my channel. All that sort of good stuff. But, oh, wow. Cracking the shell. They should call this show Cracking the Voice. My lord. Alright. Anyway. So. Yeah, it's the pains of being 17. Ugh. Wow. That was painful. That was bad. In any case, let's start outlining this sort of build order. So we have the build order down. It's just like, well, no we don't. The build order is very similar to the old one, but where it differs is that you throw down a forge and then you throw down a double gas. And what the double gas allows you to do is throw down 4 workers on gas instead of the regular 6. Well, 3 really in the beginning. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to get your +1 extremely quickly. It also leads you to the cannon focus, which I said before. That'll help you defend your natural, which means you can take that pretty aggressively. And because you have the gate and the cyber out so quickly, you'll also be able to pressure with an adept, which is very, very good. Now that we have that focused and set and ready, what the other build was more of a 2-base contain sort of build, where you just tried to get ahead in the economy, trade as efficiently as you can. And this is similar, but you don't contain necessarily on 2-base. What you need to more focus on is, I don't know. It's very economic based. It's very, very upgrade based. You generally get your Twilight Council just as your +1 is finishing up. And you're able to get adept shields and +2 attack. And then after +2 attack, I usually go +3 attack. Then after that, you get +1 armor. And then I'll talk about an interesting thing. After +1 armor, you get +1 shields. So we're going to hop into a replay real quick, and then I'll outline all the sorts of intricacies of this build. Alrighty. So let me change my overlay. Oh lord, get there. Yeah, we did it, boys. So as we scoot on into this replay, you can see me up here and this guy down here. He gets pretty mad at me for 2-base all-inning, but it's not actually a 2-base all-in because you can easily take your third behind it. As I said though, standard gateway timing at 14. Then on 16 you throw down a gas. Then on 17 you throw down another gas. You do have to cut a chrono boost in this, but it means it's an extra chrono boost you can spend on your upgrades, which I believe is fairly worth it. And mind you, it's 2 on each gas. 2 on each gas gets you the absolute perfect amount of gas. I actually misclicked this a little bit. But 2 on each gas is actually optimal because it gets you your +1 upgrade perfectly, and then you can get 1 adept and start your warp gate research. That is an absolutely perfect amount of gas. That amount of gas is like, oh lord, where's the scene? That amount of gas is like so big, right? Because normally it's like, okay, well you have like, oh whoops, normally you have like your gas timings, or it's like, okay, so I have a little bit more gas than I maybe wanted, or I have a little bit less gas than I maybe wanted. But with this build, it's actually perfect. If you do a 16 gas and a 17 gas with 2 probes in each, you will have the right amount of gas. Just trust me on that one. Trust me. Whoops. Alright, scene switcher. Lovely. So, you can start up your +1, chrono boost that. This man decided to do this like weird proxy hatch thing, but luckily you can just throw down 1 cannon because you already have your forge. And that's so big. It means you don't have to play necessarily like as conservative early game. You can see I get 2 adepts and I just start moving across the map because, you know, why not? Mothership core on the way. Next is going to be started relatively shortly. Like, it all just lines up very nicely. And as you start to max out saturation on your main base, you can max out saturation on your gas as well. And then look at this timing right here. If we zoom out a little bit, about 60% of the way done on our +1, and we're immediately able to throw down the Twilight Council. That means we can get Adept Shields very quickly, and our +2 started very, very quickly. And what does he have on the map? He's got Lings without Ling speed. He's got a Roach Warren just starting, no third base. Like, what is he going to do against +1 Adepts, +1 Blink Stalk, or, well, not Blink, but +1 Stalkers? You know, it's very, very difficult for you to keep up against those sorts of upgrades when they're so significantly far ahead of yours. And this sets itself up to throw down more gateways, transition into Robo, and do the same sort of 2-base style that I had outlined in my previous weekly episode. Just doing some cute stuff with the Adepts here. You just gotta micro those to victory. But don't let your macro slip. That's a big problem. If you let your macro slip, you're gonna have a bad time. But yeah, we have +2 on the way. We have Adept Shields on the way. And now we just throw down a couple of units. Our gateways are finishing up. Our natural is finishing up. And everything is looking really, really good. As soon I'm going to, yeah, right about now, I start moving out. I throw down a proxy pylon, and I just want to pressure him. I have superior upgrades, I have superior tech, and all I need to do is pressure him. Just need to move in with a handful of units and do the efficient strats that have been so popular in the PVT meta. Or, excuse me, PVZ. What am I saying? What am I saying? But here we can transition Robo, and this is the real turning point. Oops, excuse me. This is the real turning point right here, is once you start getting, sorry about that. Once you start getting the Robo, this is where everything changes. Normally, like, with your 2-gate before Cyber build, you'd see the Robo transition a little bit later, and, well, actually, no, it'd be slightly earlier, but there's one big difference, and that's if there's a lot of roaches, like a huge 3-base swell of like Roach Hydra all-in sort of thing, you have a very hard time against that because you don't necessarily, like, you have a lot of Adepts with shields, Blink isn't quite done yet, you don't have that vital number of Immortals, you only have like 1 or 2 out at the time, and that's not quite enough. So you're forced to kind of back up in that situation. With this build, it's a little bit different. You do get your Immortals later, but your gateways are earlier, your upgrades are earlier, you have Blink when that big swell of roaches comes out, you have a lot of gateways when that big swell of roaches come out, and you have a slightly better economy too. It's very, very important. It's so good, right? Like, you have to have like that amount of having that upgrade advantage, like this huge upgrade advantage against Zerg, is so important because it allows you to trade well not only with the Lings but with the Hydras. And the Hydras are the big problem here because you can bust down the Roaches, but if you lose half your army busting down the Roaches, you're gonna have a very hard time against the Hydras. But if you don't lose half your army killing the Roaches, you're going to have stuff for days, really. Upgrade advantages are such a big deal. Despite it not being a mirror matchup, it's still very, very essential to have that upgrade advantage, especially in PvZ. Because we have nice interactions, like, I believe if you have +1 attack on the Stalkers, I think it takes like 1 or 2 less shots to kill a Roach. If you have +1 attack on Zealots, it takes it only takes 2 swipes instead of 3 to kill a Zergling. I'm pretty sure Immortals still 3-shot Roaches, but I think they 3-shot Hydras instead of 4-shot or something. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's very important you have those upgrades, and you get them so quickly with this build that it's very, very difficult for the Zerg player to keep up. This build is also very good against the greedy style that Zerg players have been going in Legacy of the Void. They've been taking these new economy changes and going very fast hatch firsts into 3 hatch and very, very low unit counts. You see that in this game where if we scoot back into the replay here, his Hydra den's only half finished. If we look at his unit count, he has 2 Roaches. Like, What are you gonna do with 2 roaches against +2 upgraded Protoss Ball? Like, my +2 upgrades are done right now. The 5-minute 26-second mark. That's so fast. And despite him having some meager amounts of defense here, he simply can't hold off this sort of aggression. And with the way that, with the slight energy decrease on the recall, I can come in, kill a couple of workers, recall out, no problem. With the Adept shield upgrades, all of my Adepts are going to heal back up to full, and we're going to be good for days. I start up Observers, Immortals, and everything just sort of lines up now. You can throw down extra gateways, you can throw down your 3rd base at this point. And you can just keep the pressure up on the Zerg player, because look at his upgrades. He's not even starting +1 yet. He's got 2 Evo chambers, but they're just now finishing up. He doesn't have Grooved Spines yet. He doesn't have Roach Speed yet. And I'm halfway done with +3. My Blink is finishing up. I already have Adept Shields. And you just get your upgrades so ridiculously fast that you can continue to trade efficiently with all of these units. And it's very, very, very efficient. And I think that's the word of the day, really, is efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. And you have to trade well with all of these like advantages that you're setting yourself up for. You have the tech advantage, you have the unit advantage generally, and you have the upgrade advantage, and it's just so good. Now, I want to talk about for a second the upgrade path that you go essentially after you finish your attack upgrades, because you want to get +3 attack first, because getting +3 attack is very, very important. Stalkers, Protoss compositions have always been about insane amounts of burst damage, and that doesn't change in Legacy of the Void. It just means you don't need AoE. But the insane amounts of burst damage are very important because of the semi-frailty of Protoss units, and that you really just need to kill everything as fast as possible. Armor upgrades kind of take a back seat. But there's a very important distinction between Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void when it comes to the upgrade pattern. And that upgrade pattern is as follows. You get +3 attack, then you get +1 shield, or +1 armor, and then you get +1 shields. And the reason that shields are very, very important and very smart, I actually saw this on a thread on Reddit, and I'm like, damn, that's smart. The reason that you go into +1 shields is because if you look at the shield upgrade for Adepts, that's +50 shields. Getting an extra armor on top of, like, what is it, 130 total shields on the Adept? Extremely important. That negates so much damage. As well, if you're blink microing with Stalkers and stuff like that, you should only really be taking shield damage anyway. So that sort of efficiency is really like the crux of this. You're going for those Blink Stalker compositions so that you only take shield damage and your units survive forever, and you're banking on having shields regenning. You need your shields to be as efficient as possible, yeah? Well, this is why we go the shield upgrade, because it gives you more tankability and more efficiency. You're going to have the majority of your units taking shield damage and not armor damage. So why not invest in the shield upgrade? And the numbers add up too. The shield upgrade and the +2 armor upgrade cost the same. They're the same amount. Not only that, the +1 shield upgrade takes less time to research than the +1 armor upgrade. So all of this added together just turns into a very, very efficient Protoss Ball with 2-1-1 very, very strong upgrades, and you're able to continue trading with the Stalker, Sentry, Adept, Immortal, Zealot composition, and you don't need AoE is the thing. As long as the other player is not teching up, the Protoss player doesn't need to tech up either, and that's something we've never seen before. And I think with the 1-gate Forge, especially against Zerg, it's such a big improvement to the 2-gate Cyber in this matchup, because you can still trade with Roach Hydra off of 2.5 base, whereas before it got a little bit difficult because the moment you got behind on upgrades, it started to get the trade started to go less and less in your favor. But with the upgrades with the significant tech advantage, with the earlier blink. That's really another key too, is the earlier blink is really, really important. That early blink means that in most situations, really, you'll be able to trade efficiently with roaches. You'll be able to keep your units alive. You'll be able to do cute little harass things, add on warp prisms, and do sort of like adept stalker, like hit squads and stuff like that. And that stuff is so important because with the economy changes, you need to be harassing your opponent's economy. You can't just let them sit off of 3 bases forever and just be totally fine. Blink is such an important upgrade, and you ended up getting it a little bit late in PvZ with the 2-gate into Cyber, but the 1-gate into Forge into Cyber fixes that greatly, as well as providing a slightly better economy. Now I'm going to we've been going for about 25 minutes now. I'm going to head it off to a small break, about 1 or 2 minute break, and then we are going to go into the next replay, as well as I'm going to talk about how is the other races you are going to counter this. I'm also going to address some transitions into the late game, like how you can transition out of this as a Protoss player. And yeah, so it's going to be pretty sick. I will see you guys in just a couple of minutes. Oh lord, where's the scene? There it is.